jongleur people. They make the jongleur like 1 ball, 2 ball, 3 ball. It's cool, make the jongleur. I want to do that, but I cannot. I just go, there is like, they make by 2 ball, 3 ball, 4 ball. I go, I take all the ball, like maybe 20 ball. And I take the shoes, I take other things. I put all them on my hand. A lot of people is coming around me and all they think that I'm gonna do this. I just say to the people, all you people look it up. And they look it up, I say, just imagine that I make all the stuff together.
Okay.
Flaubert, who visited Istanbul 102 years before my birth, was struck by the variety of life in its teeming streets. In one of his letters, he predicted that in a century's time, Istanbul would be the capital of the world. The reverse came true. After the Ottoman Empire collapsed, the world almost forgot that Istanbul existed. The city into which I was born was poorer, shabbier, and more isolated than it had ever been its 2,000-year history. For me, it has always been a city of ruins and an end of empire melancholy. I've spent my life either battling with this melancholy or, like all Istanbuls, making it my own.
Istanbul is a city that has taken so much inland national migration that a typical citizen of Istanbul could be anyone.
Yoktur ya, o sadece abartı.
İstanbul'da da her şey yok diye düşünüyorum ben, yok.
Yani kozmopolit de karışık her türden var.
İstanbul nedir? İstanbul'da Türkiye.
Tamam.
I couldn't. Because of the diversity here.
In Turkey, everybody is has a mixed root, because they come from a mixed root, Ottoman Empire, Ottoman nation.
Ayakkabısını boyatır, kravatını takar, puterini takar, İstiklal Caddesi'ne tur atar.
Peki,
Öyle
çok
gider,
güzel.
Taksim Meydanı'nda bir çayını içer, öyle tabii.
Peki.
Boyası çıkmaz İstanbul.
Peki,
Tipik İstanbul vatandaşı diye bir şey var mıdır?
Bir yana ayrışa bir yana.
Sağ ol abi. Yoktur. Şöyle yoktur. Eski İstanbul. Bir şeyler görmüştür ama yani bir globalleşme var. Yani buna ayak uydurmak lazım. Ya da İstanbul'un.
Going throughout all our films is basically identity. Our films are about people's identities and how and who they feel themselves like. We made films about convert Armenians who were Armenians in the past and had to convert to a different religion, to a different national identity as well. That was something that really struck me, because I think being born with an identity and having to change it, not on your own will, because of the political or social pressure, that's quite tragic. So that was something we wanted to tell.
And this time the subject is woman in Istanbul. It is about women from very personal to general, educational or prostitution or whatever. We have interviewed lots of women living in Istanbul, doing every kind of work or having every kind of life.
So all these complex identities are interesting. So
My father was born in Gebel, and I wanted always to visit Gebel.
Dear Gazaros Kirgilian, elders of Geban are talking about your father and how he left Geban as the last person from the Armenian community.
And now I'm visiting Geban as a visitor. We're supposed to be living there and having family and everybody.
I have to go. I had to come and find out.
I've accepted the city into which I was born in the same way I accepted my body, much as I would have preferred to be more handsome and better built, and my gender, even though I still ask myself naively whether I might have been better off had I been born a woman. This is my fate, and there is no sense arguing with it. This book is about this fate.
I ask stupid question.
What is identity?
Oh, identity. Can I call my friend?
Ve ilk soru geliyor ekrana.
Okay. The phone is calling. The phone is calling.
Alo? Evet. Identity.
Yeah.
Shall we check for the Wikipedia? Identity is identity.
identity for me is not what or who I am. Identity is how I feel myself and who I feel myself.
Çok şey ifade ediyor ama yönüyle de anlamsız.
Bir kişinin sıfatını öğrenen bir şey yani.
Is yourself, I think. I always try to be myself.
Identity is about one person's very personal values.
Identity is a construction.
Identity. Yes. Identity is a costume I must to take off.
Zelik. Did you watch that movie?
Yes.
Zelik.
I wish I could be Lenny Zilwick, the changing man, and be different people, and maybe someday my wishes will come true.
Leonard Zelig continues to astound scientists at New York's Manhattan Hospital, where numerous tests have led nowhere in determining the nature of this astonishing manifestation. He is confronted by two overweight men at the request of the doctors. As the men discuss their obesity, an initially reticent Zelig joins in, swelling himself to a miraculous 250 pounds. Next, in the presence of two Negro men, Zelig rapidly becomes one himself.
It's like you always are like looked with such like there's always some stickers put onto your skin, onto your surface, and then sometimes you like these stickers, and then they get old, and you try to scratch them off, and that sometimes you tear a bit of skin in the meantime, or like some parts of the paper are left there.
Well, in the old days, before the internet age, an audience was a very defined group of people. But nowadays, hence we have all this, connection to anybody we want to reach. Actually, there are, billions of people on the internet, and more people get connected every day. Not only on their desktops, but more and more mobile. So even people who are on the go can be reached. So the term audience is changing every day.
Globalization means I think thinking something the different viewpoints with different viewpoints. Globalization.
Globalization is about encounters with the other, with people who are not like ourselves.
Küreselleşme internet. İnternet. Yani iletişimin artması var. Ne yapalım? Kaos şeyiyle.
Ya aynı soru bence. Yani aynı cevabı verebilirim.
Ya bu bir bilgi yarışması
hep
değil.
siyasi rolleri var. Sen siyasi rolleri benden soruyorsun.
Hiçbir şey fark etmiyor. İnsanlar yani kendi şeyleriyle, analarıyla yaşayabilirler. Burada zaten tekim bize mevcut İstanbul'da.
I can say that it's something that makes you forget the history.
If you lose yani good different shapes of every cities, every families, every neighborhood, it's not a good thing yani. It's not good idea everywhere işte same restaurants, same cut hair. It's not good thing. Because everybody wants to see differences. Everybody wants to see yani alternatives, the new one.
But it's not something that is so direct. I mean, globalization has the effect of that. No, globalization affects something else, and the chain reaction at the end affects you. So it's like you can't really see these threats clearly.
Genel olarak İstanbul'da yaşayan orta sınıf kadınının problemleriyle ilgili konular işlemeyi seviyorum. Bu tür kadınlar genellikle kimliklerini kaybetmiş oluyor. Bunda da en büyük etken medya. They watch lots of television all the time. If they're not working, most of the women don't work. So their job always sitting at home and watching TV, make gossips. Actually, it was interesting. I did first, maybe 5-6 years ago. I made this installation in a shopping mall. It was all about that kind of woman who is working with her small world, with her television, magazines, full of these rubbish things, and the feeling was unbelievable. Lots of people was like that, like a Garfield looking into the cage. For example, guy came and he asked me, "What is that? This is our house, very similar. What do you want to say?" I said, "Oh, nothing. It's just an example about ordinary Turkish lifestyle," I said. He didn't understand anything else and said, "Oh, okay," and went away.
Books, watching TV. And these days, I'm teach at university and during 5 years, and sometimes I feel little angry about students, and sometimes I say, "Yeah, please read something, please read something." I say, okay, sometimes I feel very old and I say this sentence. Of course they read, but sometimes I say this one. But one guy answered me, "No, we don't want to We don't want to read. We like see. We like watch. This is our way. We learn everything by watching.
There are two favorite writers of mine, whom I think are both culturally rooted here as well as influenced by the rest of the world. And these are Orhan Pamuk and Elif Shafak. These are great writers who were born and raised here, but they've been influenced by the rest of the world. They open themselves to the world, and I think this is what makes them interesting. But there are many, many other writers and artists. These are only the two of I can recall.
My mother's sorrowful voice comes back to me. Why don't you go outside for a while? Why don't you try a change of scene, do some traveling? Conrad, Nabokov, Naipaul, these are writers known for having managed to migrate between languages, cultures, countries, continents, even civilizations. Their imaginations were fed by exile and nourishment drawn not through roots, but through rootlessness. Mine, however, requires that I stay in the same city, on the same street, in the same house, gazing at the same view. Istanbul's fate is my fate. I am attached to this city because it had made me who I am.
The city and the people are like, it's not two separate entities. That's really important. The city is not the buildings or the landscape or the topography or the earth beneath our feet. It's the people, it's the infrastructure, it's the weather as well. I mean, it's this humid weather. It's something about the city. It belongs to the city, so it's like you can't really. I don't see it as separate things. I mean, when I also work on my own projects, I try to see things as a whole, not separating it like into like categories.
Istanbul is like for Turkey is like second house, and Turkey is like 70 million or 80 million, I don't know. But for all of us, Istanbul is like a place, and all we came to here. It's not because we are like a tourist and we came to visit this place. It's because we have to come to this place.
Istanbul, for instance, has been branded as the land on two continents, the city on two continents, the city where Europe and Asia meets, and all these expressions, which is, if you are a citizen, if you're living in a city, even if you're visiting for some time, I mean, live anywhere near where, you don't live anywhere near where this, you don't live the city as the city that meets two continents.
Yeah.
This is just a cliche, of course. I don't know how many millions of tourists come to Istanbul, but probably 70% of them think that is Istanbul, for instance. These are typical for probably most of the bigger cities, that you have these brands, these images, so people want to just engage with it and not go any further. These easy, cliche, easy to remember remarks kind of start to define the city or start to brand the city, and that lacks the identity.
Here we come to the heart of the matter. I have never left Istanbul, never left the houses, streets and neighborhoods of my childhood. Although I've lived in other districts from time to time, 50 years on, I find myself back in the Pamuk apartments where my first photographs were taken and where my mother first held me in her arms to show me the world.
I think Istanbul feels like home because it's very central to what I do. I travel extensively around Turkey, Middle East, the Caucasus, the Balkans sometimes. The Mediterranean region. So Istanbul has got these amazing connections to all these people and places. So this is why I feel myself home in Istanbul.
In Istanbul is the most There's a lot of people, they are on the street, they live on the street. But for me, the street is a real home. It doesn't matter what, but the street is a real home.
It's my hometown. It's a place that I really feel attached to, and I mean, when it comes to identity, it's also kind of a place that I identify myself with.
İstanbul'a kendimi aşık hissediyorum. O yüzden aşık olduğunuzda da pek ona sahip olmuş veya gibi hissedemez.
If you go out and if you meet people in Istanbul, you've got this whole suite of interesting stories you can cover, and life is not enough for that. So you have to keep on doing more and more films, and a lot of people have to do these, tell the stories.
And then all the make the slap, yeah, the street is the best. It's in the imagination you can ever.